know.
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to you.
Did he do it, right?
Yeah.
I know you've been heavy on social media talking about it.
He did it. And I'm the only one who's been vocal about this long before it actually.
What does it feel like all these years, you being the only one calling this out?
I look like I've been the crazy guy for a long time.
They say that you're a hater. They say you're crazy.
You do this, and now everybody's complaining. My hurting. There's all this shit that's coming.
Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at it. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there, just looking at me.
Hollywood's secrets are often whispered in hushed tones, behind closed doors, and buried beneath layers of manufactured glamour. But sometimes a spotlight crashes down, forcing the darkness into the open. This is the moment Terrence Howard stepped into the glare, choosing to shatter the silence surrounding an industry titan, Sean "Diddy" Combs. He wasn't there to gossip or fuel rumors. He was there to expose a hidden side of Hollywood, one built on uncomfortable invitations and unspoken expectations.
He wants to hang out with you next week, and I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh. A number of producers come in and make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman.
It started innocently enough, or so it seemed. Puffy, as he was then known, extended an invitation to Terrence week after week. The lure? The promise of collaboration, a professional mentorship. Diddy wanted Terrence, a respected actor known for his intensity and skill, to be his acting coach. It sounded like a career-boosting opportunity, a chance to work with a major player. But beneath the surface of this professional courtesy lurked something far more unsettling. Terrence agreed, intrigued, but what unfolded was far from any acting masterclass he'd ever imagined.
Did he do it, right?
Yeah.
I know you've been heavy on social media talking about it.
He did it. And I'm the only one who's been vocal about this long before it actually.
He would do a lot of shit, like behind the scenes. He would do some violence, hating on, doing things with people I'd done business with that he'd done business with. He would say that I was like, he said that to you?
But I also didn't participate. I also didn't go to those parties.
Yeah.
So a lot of the celebrity culture that you don't hear saying anything is because they participate.
Each encounter with Diddy felt increasingly bizarre. Terrence would arrive, prepared to work, scripts in hand, ready to dive into scenes and character development. But Diddy? He'd just sit there watching, observing, never quite engaging with the material. Okay, what's the material you want to work on? Terrence asked, expecting scripts, dialogues, something tangible. Instead, he was met with vague requests, a desire to hear his music, invitations to hang out again the next night. No acting exercises, no script breakdowns, just staring. A palpable awkwardness hung in the air, a sense that something was deeply amiss. It was as if the acting coaching was merely a flimsy pretense, a way to lure Terrence into a different kind of scene altogether.
Puffy was playing with your in Miami. Yo, look, that's what James Cruz used to say all the time. Miami. He's like, Miami. I'm like, what's the matter? What you talking about, Miami?
That was all the people that went to the Puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man.
The turning point arrived when Terrence's assistant, sensing the growing discomfort and the repeated unusual invitations, voiced the unspoken suspicion. He wants to, you know. The implication hung heavy, unspoken, but crystal clear. Suddenly, the pieces clicked into place. The odd requests, the lack of professional focus, the persistent invitations to spend time together, it all coalesced into a chilling realization. Terrence had walked into something far more complex and potentially dangerous than a simple acting session. His intuition, that nagging feeling in the pit of his stomach, had been screaming warnings, and now the confirmation hit him like a cold wave.
I've lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles.
In that moment of clarity, Terrence made a choice that could have derailed his career, but one that ultimately preserved something far more valuable, his dignity. He politely declined further invitations, extricating himself from the unsettling situation. The next day, confirmation came quietly, almost as a whisper. Certain circles in Hollywood operated on a currency beyond talent, a dark exchange of control and compromise. Producers, power brokers, they made their approaches, subtly or not so subtly, testing boundaries, dangling opportunities, and expecting a price. But Terrence drew a line in the sand. He would not surrender his self-respect for a role, a paycheck, or the fleeting promise of A-list status.
You lose your damn man card,
What is that? What do you mean by that?
you give up your ability, your right to being a man.
Yeah, I love this drink. I like when you like this, Daddy. Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping for shit.
This stance, while morally firm, was a lonely one. Hollywood is rife with stories of whispered propositions, of lines blurred between professional and personal, of careers hanging in the balance of a single yes or no. Saying no can mean doors slammed shut, opportunities vanished, endorsements lost. Yet, Terrence stood his ground, refusing every questionable advance. Over time, he witnessed the fallout on those who had chosen a different path. He saw the haunted looks in the eyes of colleagues at award shows, the subtle flinches when certain names were mentioned, the sudden silences when reporters probed about late-night gatherings in Miami or Soho studios. They had achieved fame, fortune, the outward symbols of success, but inside, a hollowness echoed, a void filled with substance abuse, mental burnout, and a gnawing sense of lost self-respect.
But when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing.
Enter 50 Cent. Observing Diddy's trajectory with a mixture of fascination and suspicion for years, long before the lawsuits and allegations erupted, 50 recognized the gravity of Terrence's story. He saw it not as isolated gossip, but as a crucial piece of a much larger, darker puzzle. When Terrence finally spoke out about Diddy's unsettling invitations, 50 didn't hesitate. He reached out, not with judgment, but with a platform. He was already in the midst of producing a documentary, tentatively titled Did He Do It?, aimed at dissecting the mounting allegations against Diddy. Terrence's testimony, a respected actor with mainstream credibility willing to go on record, became the missing narrative thread, the undeniable voice of someone who said no and lived to tell the tale.
Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there.
Did He Do It? Isn't just another celebrity scandal documentary. It's a deep dive into a system. 50 Cent is pulling back the velvet rope, exposing the hidden rooms, the hushed conversations, the non-disclosure agreements, and the testimonies of those who witnessed the inner workings of Diddy's world. Archival footage, financial ledgers, and first-hand accounts paint a picture far more complex and disturbing than tabloid headlines suggest. Terrence's story becomes the emotional anchor, the human cost of a predatory industry laid bare. The documentary promises to connect the dots, allowing viewers to see for themselves the patterns of behavior, the culture of silence, and the devastating consequences of unchecked power. It's a reckoning, not just for Diddy, but for a Hollywood system that has long thrived in the shadows.
They get fluid, and next thing you know, once it go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from, so maintain your man card, no matter what.
The impact is already reverberating. Terrence Howard's willingness to speak out, amplified by 50 Cent's platform, has ignited a cultural conversation that extends far beyond celebrity gossip. It's about accountability, about the price of fame, and about the courage to say no in a world that often demands compliance. As the documentary release date looms, Hollywood braces for the fallout. Brands are reassessing their associations, networks are reviewing contracts, and a generation of viewers is grappling with uncomfortable truths about the industry they once idolized. Terrence's story is a stark reminder that integrity has a price, but so does silence. And in the end, the most radical act in a system built on whispers may be to speak loudly, clearly, and without fear of the doors that might slam shut. Because sometimes, when enough doors close behind you, they forge a brand new path ahead.